Frank has mentioned the number of currencies that are currently right now in the world. But new currencies are not only the disruption to the typical, traditional, let's say, banking system. It's also a chance, or a way, depends on your perspective, how to transform the human society. The invention of Bitcoin is comparable to invention of the system of writing, or at least of the letterpress, says our next speaker, who believes that technology is inseparable from nature that is around us. Ladies and gentlemen, Tomáš Marada. Dobrý den. Tomáš, how many currencies do you have? And how many currencies do you actually use?
I have two.
You have two?
Yeah.
Which ones?
Bitcoin and Litecoin.
These are the only ones?
Yes.
How many are there in the world?
Thousands.
Thousands. And you just chose these two?
Yeah, I'm very skeptical about any other cryptocurrency than Bitcoin, and I need Litecoin only for one specific purpose.
That's a good opening, concerning we will right now concentrate on actually everything you need to know about new currencies. Tomáš, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello. 2013 was a groundbreaking year for me. Probably two most important events in my life happened that year. First, I met my wife, and second, I met Bitcoin. I fall in love with both of them. Many people think about Bitcoin as a transactional system or as a scarce investment asset or some tamper-proof database. But I believe that potential of Bitcoin is much bigger, and it's actually the invention in human cooperation. And I will try to lead you through a couple of my notes and how I think about it. Human evolution advantage is mainly cooperation. We don't have physical strength. We cooperate, and as a necessary part of human cooperation, we have disputes. And we developed a way how to resolve disputes. And as soon as this mechanism of disputes resolving get reliable enough, we can specialize. And as a group, reach bigger goals. In history, we invented many different technologies which allows our cooperation, such a language, or writing, which allows us to record an agreement or transfer knowledge. Further, we invented accounting, which is base for our economies and economical interaction. And in the last couple of decades, we developed internet. But there are other old technologies which we help for our cooperation, such as hierarchical structures, religion, or money. These old technologies help us build a system of cooperation which are centrally managed. In last couple centuries, we created quite complex set of laws, rules of our cooperation. We created law enforcement mechanisms, and current state of art of our cooperation is a national state. But we shouldn't think about national state as about end state. Monarchy used to be disrupted by national state, and national states will be disrupted by current technologies. We should be at least open to these disruptions. Centrally managed systems tends to have couple advantages and also a couple disadvantages. Problems of centrally managed system is that they centralize power. And the power is centralized in the hands of couple who might abuse the power. Hierarchical structures prefers sociopathic behavior. And we, of course, created many control mechanisms which we hope will prevent abuse of power, but many times leads to overcomplexity and just the inflexibility of the whole system. And also, the systems are created and led by a small subgroup of people, and the vast majority of people feel excluded from the process. These centrally managed systems are all linked through money. And hence, there is already decades of libertarian movement who tries to build private money independent of state, which cannot be manipulated by state. And in 2009, they finally succeeded by starting Bitcoin. But what is the invention and real last piece which Bitcoin solved? The decentralization idea and cryptography was here already for a long time. It was possible already before to build a tamper-proof public ledger of transactions. But there was one missing piece, and it was a problem of double spend. You can create a completely valid transaction. Let's say that I have some wealth, and I want to transfer it to someone else. So I will create a transaction using cryptography, and at the same time, I can create some different transaction which moves the same wealth to someone else or to myself. And these two conflicting transactions can be signed by same private key and emitted to the internet or to the transaction system at the same time. Before Bitcoin, there was no way how to decide which one of these transactions should be added to the history and which one should be rejected without introducing some sort of central entity which would decide that. But as soon as you allow this into your system, you basically allow censorship. And Bitcoin was the first system which solved it in a way that it doesn't introduce censorship. So I would argue, or not I would, I argue that Bitcoin is not about money. It's not about a transaction system. It's not about a public ledger, public database. But it's rather a decentralized source of truth which cannot be censored or manipulated. The only problem is that it's really raw technology, very immature, and there is a lot of misconception about Bitcoin. We are still in command line, and it would be best for the Bitcoin if regular people wouldn't touch Bitcoin for a couple more years and let it mature. Unfortunately, early adoption of Bitcoin pays off. Hence, it attracts mainstream people and also regulators. It inspired also many alternative approaches, and nowadays there are 1,000 different cryptocurrencies using different technology. Most of them are scams, but some of them tries to innovate, and some of them works better than Bitcoin. I doubt that they will take the lead, but they are great test bets. We are also seeing many misunderstanding what Bitcoin or blockchain can be used for. We see national currencies, private blockchains, and we see a lot of hype. Let's put everything on blockchain. Blockchain will change the world and it will solve everything. We are not there yet. We have to wait and we have to let the technology mature. We also see a lot of Swiss knife solutions where developers try to design very complex mechanisms and basically hold decentralized computers at one layer. I'm quite doubtful about that as well. I think that a specialized solution which solves just one thing will be better. Bitcoin, as any other startup, should focus on what's the main added value of Bitcoin, which is the decentralized source of truth. Anything else should be put away and keep just this core. I think that before we start doing some clever IT engineering, we need some hardcore math innovation. And actually anything which can be put off blockchain should go. I think that we
the future
protocol from Bitcoin with many layers in a similar way as we developed TCP/IP protocol in internet. It was illusional to think about designing how internet should work in 70s and predicting the usage and demand for the traffic in 2000 or later. And in similar way, the usage of Bitcoin is mainly speculation right now, rather than actually demand from market. If anyone is interested, I would highly recommend this video, which is a very nice summary of inventions which are expected to come in Bitcoin in next about 5 to 10 years. And they are mostly really hardcore math innovations. I see an analogy with an early computers where bigger rooms for computers was not a long-term solution. Also, an effort to use early computers to do as much computation which world needs was also not possible. We had to innovate, and the minimization of the infrastructure was the way to go, and only later computers start becoming such a verse tool like they are now. So I believe that Bitcoin should focus on its single source of truth and rather minimizing, because minimization in Bitcoin of its blockchain leads to improved security and decentralization. And that's the crucial. And now I recall, as soon as we have ability to resolve disputes, it allows specialization. So I think that in coming years we will see different competing solutions or designs how to do decentralized database, decentralized storage, decentralized computing. And we are already seeing it right now with some projects. I don't believe that one blockchain or one technology will solve everything in an ideal and efficient way. And only on top of it, we will start seeing decentralized products for mainstream adoption. But where all does it lead to? I think that Bitcoin already succeeded in a huge way. It has inspired completely new generation of developers to attack problems in a decentralized way. This inspiration cannot be erased. Even if Bitcoin failed deeply, the decentralization idea is here to stay. So anything which can be decentralized will start gradually being decentralized. And this decentralized system, in a similar way as Bitcoin, will not rely on government or government enforcing mechanism. Bitcoin doesn't need any provider. He's not backed by any state power. It just works in a trustless way. It's very inefficient, very slow, but it works. And in a similar way, we will start seeing very primitive new ways or new forms of cooperation which don't rely on state, and the agreements of this cooperation are enforced by the technology itself. So we will basically see a new wave of permissionless innovation, where anyone who can code a new set, new form of cooperation, and just push it to the world. They don't need to lobby for change of any law. They don't need to create any enforcing mechanism. It will be just there. The only thing which they have to think about is how to motivate people or incentivize people in the right way so they want to take part in this cooperation. Right now, we are part of group, and as a group, we have to agree on one set of rules. And these rules are for everyone. Some people, or this set of rules is enforced on everyone. And some people are happy with that, some people are not. In the future, we will be able to choose different set of rules in different occasions. Even if just 2 people in the world will want to cooperate with some set of rules, they can. So basically, we will be allowed to explore much more different set of rules. I think that the vast majority of it will be completely nonsense and will fail. But eventually, we will probably innovate our current capitalism, socialism, or different flavor of these two. I believe that we will see a lot of new form of cooperation inside community. Community empowering, community based. We will see peer-to-peer cooperation coordinated by technology, not driven by hierarchical structures. And what we already see right now, we will see an open source movement which is now gradually getting better financed through Bitcoin and appreciation of it. And I actually think we are on the edge of biggest wealth transfer in the history into the hands of makers who are willing to change the world rather than going only after profit. And when I wake up in the morning and I see my wife and I remember that we invented Bitcoin, it just made my day, and I'm happy that I can be part of this revolution, of this change in the world.
Concerning your wife and Bitcoin, since you met them at the nearly very same time, how do you celebrate the anniversary?
I actually don't remember exact day when I met Bitcoin.
Okay. And you know it concerning your wife?
Yes.
So you are on point concerning the anniversary of your wife, or your wife?
Yes.
That's fine. You believe in Bitcoin? And that's the question sent by Miroslav Svoboda. Bitcoin was the very first one, but the progress moves on. Isn't it only natural to expect that it will be replaced by a more progressive cryptocurrency soon?
I actually don't believe that. I
Why?
think that the Bitcoin is the most secure one, And I don't see how any other cryptocurrency could overrun it, take the lead. It's a lot about decentralization, and it's really hard to bootstrap decentralized cryptocurrency with enough value and enough incentive to work in a similar secure way as Bitcoin.
And do you believe, and I'm asking this question because of a comment sent by Martin Cherva, that Bitcoin will be, in the future, and if yes, please tell me when, an objective alternative to currencies we are using right now? Or is it going to be just something that will be used by the minority?
I think it will be used by the majority, but maybe not in current state, but maybe in a couple layers on top of it. Maybe we will not even know that we are using somewhere under the hood Bitcoin. In a similar way, internet didn't displace regular post. It just complemented and opened complete new sector of different solutions. I think with Bitcoin it will be similar.
And when?
When? It's a gradual adoption, and there will be no sudden move.
In this case, I guess.
Yeah.
Says Tomáš Marada. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tomáš.
Thank you.